Yes.
I'm Tad Baker, Maggie Township. I've been coming to these meetings for fairly consistently for a few months now, watching your budget struggles. That's why I'm here. Really, my concern is the budget struggle, and how it is going to affect the residents of the county. This may be trivial. There was a question. I look at your minutes that were on the table here, and I was at this meeting on May 14th where we talked about a part-time clerk, and some of the conversations I've been witnessing is we want to hire from within. We don't want to hire from without. We want to try to move people around and not lay off. I wasn't able to attend the special meeting on the 17th, but it appears that within 3 days we reconsidered not paying this clerk. And I'm just kind of curious. I trust you guys. There's a reason for that. This board seems to be pretty consistent. They think things through. They work together. I wonder if you could help us understand why that we reconsidered in such a short time frame.
Sure. As for the part-time employee, the reconsideration was that district court themselves was down to 3 employees, and we felt here, although I personally didn't support it because I still had my concerns, but as a board as a whole, they felt that we shouldn't cut them to that level. And as far as training that one employee, we didn't feel that we should put the employee right in the middle of our battle between county budget and when somebody should be hired or shouldn't be. Although we've made it clear for the past several years, dating back to 2008, that finance and this board wants to be involved with new employee positions or vacated positions. Maybe we haven't been as aggressive as we should have been. But I think over the past few months we have been, and we need to continue to do that. But that was, what this board considered. They have the part-time position that we voted to fund. That was the district court probation. And then they had the full-time position available. So it was more not devastating to their level. And again, we wanted them to fill that from within. I don't know whether they did or didn't. Honestly, they need to find somebody that's qualified to do the job. My hopes are that they hired from within, but
the idea would be to hire from within and to go through finance before you hire.
right.
Because you guys, we elect you to represent us as oversight. So I hope that you guys would work together. I've heard that many times out of our chair. We need to work together. And I was just kind of concerned. If they can hire and fire on their own, then, what role would you guys have?
Right. Yeah, it's a legitimate concern, and but speaking to the special meeting that we had, we addressed the part-timer, and that's what we felt is a concession, give and take, I guess.
Well, the thing that we went through with them, and we had the judge up there, I don't know, 4 times, 5 times, whatever. Basically, he told us, as late as last week, when the last meeting we had, that he could not operate that court without adequate staff. I know that's, and I told him about the part-time originally, and then Mike Greer and the judge came up again. And without going through an hour and a half conversation we had with him, it appeared to us that, and we hear this story all the time, about can't operate without this, that, but I think they were down to 2 employees. Inexperienced. Maybe seen it.
Yeah.
And they were in a bind. I mean, and this is no excuse for them, they are one of the big revenue sources for the county. And obviously we can't shut the courts down, but that was what the judge told us.
And that was probate court.
That Well, the probate court, they hired, we just didn't know about it. Then there was the part-timer that we're talking about, that was the district court probation clerk. They still had another full-time position available, which we was gonna talk about later on today, or we will be on the finance report. We met with Greer and Josh, Judge Earl, I should say. What day was that, Thursday, maybe? Monday.
We've had so many, and I'm not looking for any sorrow, we've had so many meetings that, I haven't even been able to attend all my township meetings. And, I mean, things was,
Well, getting back to your question,
What changed?
we're really trying to look at all avenues here. So the judges came up, the magistrate and the judge came up, and they were talking to finance, Terry and I, and they brought up that there could be litigation if we didn't give them their people, because, you know, it appeared the district court was being singled out, and that their employees are having to do multiple tasks outside of what their union contracts read, and there could be grievances filed, and they're trying to avoid all that. And to me, it was interesting that district court's separate from circuit court. That's news to me, and I guess I'm learning as we go, but apparently there's two administrators, the magistrate's an administrator, and Daryl for the circuit court. That was new to me. There was multiple arguments both ways, and I won't even call it arguments. There was lengthy discussion.
When you say litigation, what do you mean by that? You mean the courts suing the commission?
I'm not really sure, because we didn't talk about it in great detail.
Is that a common practice in Gladwin County, or?
We try not to make that common practice, which is,
we had, over the years, and I know that's, but yes, we have been through litigation, our litigation has been started, never brought to a head, unfortunately. But that's always their option.
It'd be the worst possible time to start taking tax dollars and start eating on each other. That's why I speak for the public and that you all know that can't happen.
that's part of why Terry and I discussed our recommendation to the board today, which is gonna be to fill that part-time, or the full-time position that they've requested. They're looking at, you know, some of their show causes and tweaking some of the other revenues to bring them in line with some of the other communities. Do we like it? No. But again, to avoid any possible litigation or anything else at this point, if in fact district court is separate from circuit court, again, I say that's news to me. Maybe this makes sense because they have only the 3 people down there, so, you know, moving forward, we need to be very careful. And again, you know, I think we need to make sure that we're all working together and that all these vacated positions are brought to finance in this board so we can talk about them and try to move in people internally. In fact, the posting, we wanted to rate on the posting that Terry and I want that person to come from inside if at all possible. It has to be one of our own employees. Now, whether that happens, whether there's a qualified person to do that, that's their call, not ours necessarily, but.
Okay, well, I thank you for your time, and thanks for what you guys are doing. I know it's tough. We're in the pickle.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Appreciate your concern.
Are there any other public comments?